Like you looked at enough of your mom's JCPenney catalogs, it's time to play. I would like take it in the bathroom and be like, go to the lingerie section. I think I can see some nipple. Hey, do you wanna see that movie? Do you wanna see that movie? Do you wanna see that movie? Welcome to Hey, did you ever see that movie? I'm your host, Dez, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Delynn.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm going to kick 100% of your ass.
And joining us again, the podcaster with 1,000 potions, Mikki.
People on lewd should not drive.
This week we will be discussing the coming-of-age comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High, written by Cameron Crowe, directed by Amy Heckerling, starring Sean Penn, Judge Reinhold, Phoebe Cates, and Jennifer Jason Leigh. As always, this podcast will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, go watch the movie, then come back and listen to the podcast. And now, it's time for another installment of Disaster Piece Theater. So sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to Disaster Piece Theater, where me and my two co-hosts will act out one scene from the movie that we are reviewing for you this evening. So please, sit back, grab some popcorn, and enjoy the show.
Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production, take one.
This one's on you, dude. Who's got the Boku Dolores today?
Uno dinero.
What have you got, Mr. Buckman?
I got a cigarette.
I got Uni Nicoletti.
Hey, you guys had shirts on when you came in here. Come on, Spiccoli. Just put the shirts back on. You see that sign?
No shirt. No shoes.
No dice. Sounds like the fucking Special Olympics.
It's so bad.
Learn it, know it, live it.
Whoa. He's a full hot lawyer.
Cut! Cut! Cut!
Okay. And now it's time for Dez's 4-1 fun and 1 fake fact, where it will be up to my two co-hosts to decide which fact is total bullshit. Fact number 1. Nicolas Cage made his big screen debut in Fast Times as Brad's bud. Number 2. Despite being a movie about high school, Nicolas Cage was the only cast member under the age of 18. Number 3. Sean Penn was actually an aspiring surfer at the time of shooting, so writer Cameron Crowe wrote it into Penn's character. Number 4. Sean Penn refused to break character during the film's entire shooting. And number 5. Sean Penn didn't have to audition for the role of Jeff Spiccoli. Mikki, which one is bullshit?
I'm going to say the number 3.
Okay. And Delynn, which one do you think is bullshit?
Sean Penn didn't have to audition for the role.
Mikki is correct. Sean Penn never surfed a day in his life. Okay. Nice job.
I think that's my first one I've ever got, I think.
What?
I should direct you to the article of Sean Penn surfing. Shall I?
Okay, well, it's still not true. With a budget of $5 million.
I was like, is he a surfer? And sure enough, there's pictures of him surfing. So I'm like, okay, he's a surfer. That's not right.
Okay, well, maybe he surfed, but it had nothing to do with Spiccoli being a surfer.
Okay, fair enough.
With a budget of $5 million and a box office gross of $50 million worldwide, this movie was considered a huge success. Okay, let's do some quick opening thoughts on this one. I will get us started. So I have a theory on this movie I'm going to share with you and the listeners. My theory that is after high school, Brad Hamilton changed his name to Billy Rosewood and went to the Los Angeles Police Academy and became a detective for the Beverly Hills Police Department. Okay? So everybody just kind of think about that. Brad Hamilton is actually Billy Rosewood from Beverly Hills Cop. Okay. I have seen this movie a million times, and in my opinion, it is the most realistic high school movie of all times. This was exactly how the 8th grade was for me, which was one grade before I actually went to high school, but we were real grown up back then. Like all the girls smoked Marlboro Reds, everyone was getting laid. It was this. This is what it was. Okay. Mikki, were you smoking Marlboro Reds and getting laid in high school? That's not my real question. Have you seen this movie before preparing for the podcast?
A million times, yes. This movie is one of like those movies that I could just watch over and over and over again. It's so it's so nostalgic for me. Like you're right. Like everything. This was how school was for us. A little bit different, at least I know for us because we're on the obviously the East Coast and we don't have surfing. But you know what I mean. Like it's really the music. You know, just the music was amazing. The characters were so funny, and I mean, I knew Phoebe Cates' "I'm gonna only date guys out of high school" character. Do you know what I mean? Like there was at least one of those in every school that you were friends with, and yeah.
Yeah, but Phoebe Cates is so full of shit. She wasn't dating anybody. She was like the ultimate virgin in this movie. Like she'd never even kissed a boy. She
Right.
was so full of shit.
Yeah.
Delynn, did you smoke Marlboro Reds and get laid in high school?
In high school, I smoked Virginia Slims.
Oh shit! Did you really Virginia Slims?
Yeah, the long
Wow.
ones, the ones that were like this long, those wicked long, skinny ones. I smoked
my God.
those. Yeah,
Were you
ridiculous,
Betty
right?
Davis?
Capris. Remember Capris? They were like
Oh my
long,
God, the little
skinny.
teeny tiny ones.
Yep.
I
We
remember
smoked those.
Capris.
We smoked Virginia Slims, and we smoked Marlboro Lights.
Holy
Oh
shit!
yeah, Marlboro Light in a box.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
I
yeah.
know
The
she wasn't
packet.
getting.
Yep.
And I know you weren't getting laid in high school because, fun fact, I was Dylan's first on my
That's true.
waterbed. So you could actually call me. I was very much like Ron, the radio salesman.
Oh, God,
only,
gross.
only I had a waterbed and a residence. I didn't take my girls to baseball dugouts. Okay. And Dylan, you had seen
dear.
this before preparing for the podcast, correct?
Yes, I've seen it before.
Man, we're off to quite a start, aren't we?
Wow. Wow.
Virginia Slims, Pacrees. Pacrees! What's a Pacrees?
Capris?
What
Okay.
the hell
Is that like a pecan?
I was thinking, that's like, okay. Let's do it. So then give us the synopsis of this gem.
All right. Stacey Hamilton is a pretty but inexperienced teen interested in dating. Given advice by her uninhibited friend Linda Barrett, Stacey gets trapped in a love triangle with nice guy Mark Ratner and his more assured buddy Mike Damone. Meanwhile, Stacey's classmate, Jeff Spiccoli, who lives for surfing and being stoned, faces off against Mr. Hand, a strict teacher who has no time for the slacker's antics.
Nice. All right, let's get into this one. I'm excited to talk about this movie.
All right, well, let's go then. All right. Our movie begins with a shot of Ridgemont Mall. Ridgemont? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Took me a second.
Ridgemont?
Ridgemont. I thought I said it wrong. It is everything you remember the mall to be. Packed full of rambunctious teenagers and a lot of bad mall food. Stacey Hamilton, played by Jennifer Jason Leigh, is a 15-year-old high school freshman who works at Perry's Pizza Parlor. Her friend Linda Barrett, played by Phoebe Cates, also works there, and she encourages her to hit on a stereo salesman that comes to eat. She is more sexually experienced, so she says, and has an adult boyfriend, so she says, named Doug, that we never see in the movie, though he is the basis for all of her information or her misinformation. Across the mall, Mark Ratner, played by Brian Backer, also a sophomore, works in the mall as assistant to the assistant manager at the movie theater. His friend Mike Damone, Robert Romanus, also hangs out at the mall scalping rock concert tickets, and he's believing himself to be both worldly and wise in the ways of women. So we have to pause here because we have to discuss the mall. Mikki, did you hang out at the mall?
Not until my later teens, because we didn't really have a good mall near me. So I was probably 17 before I started really hanging out at the mall. But I mean, some of those stores just, oh my God, brings back memories. And was it me? And I didn't think about it at the time, but now that I'm older, I look at these kids in high school. I'm like, they all look 30.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Except for Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah. She looked young.
Yeah. But like Mike Damone.
Yeah,
Brad.
looks 27 years old.
Holy
And
shit.
Rat looks the oldest out of all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. These are not young teenagers. So I was a mall rat. Always been a mall rat. Mall rat. My teenies, my preteens. I mean, I would go to summer vacation and stay down at my yaya's in Virginia, and they had what was at the time the biggest mall in the country, the Fair Oaks Mall. And me and one of my cousins, I won't mention him by name, but he was a derelict. We both were. And I remember I had gotten an Intellivision, the video gaming system, like one of the first ones. And we got dropped off at the mall, and they had a video game store there, and there was a rack with Intellivision games on it. So me and him, I was probably like 10 at the time. So we go in, and we're kind of like, I want this race car game for the system. I got no money. I'm a little kid. So we're in the store, and I remember so clearly, I take the game off the rack and I flick it out of the store. I just flick it out. And it like lands out in front of the store. And like we walk out, we kind of go and hide and kind of just watch the game out in front of the store for a few minutes. And nobody's noticed that I flipped it out there. So I go pick it up and I steal it and I take it home and I'm playing it. That whole night, I was so sure someone was going to come from the mall. Like my heart was beating. I'm looking out the windows. Like I'm sure they're going to come and get me.
Were you
But I
looking
got
for
away
Paul
with it.
Blart?
Yeah, dude, I got away with it. I mean, this is before they were putting little devices in that like, and they didn't have alarms. I mean, this was probably 1980, 1979, 1980. And yeah, I stole that fucking video game and it was awesome.
What video game was it?
It was a little like formula racing game for Intellivision. So yeah, fun.
One of these days
Stole
we're
it.
gonna have to buy it just because.
Yeah, no, this isn't something you could still find, but yeah, and I remember like being worried that my grandmother, my yaya would realize that I had a new game and ask where but it was like this whole thing. I wished I didn't do it like 2 minutes after I did it, but nobody found out. A couple of days later, I was playing the game and loving life. So I love this opening scene. I mean, the song, we got the beat, everybody. It's so good. The mall looks so good. Like this is called this mall is in California. You see it in a lot of different movies. I'm trying to remember the name of the mall. I guess it doesn't really matter, but yeah, it's a very famous mall. I love Damone. Hey, Debbie, how's it going? When he's fucking talking to the Debbie Harry fucking cutout. Fucking, I love him. I love this whole thing. It's great. Yeah, really
It was
good.
the Galleria.
They're all gallerias. Okay.
We have one of those here, and Tony calls it the gonorrhea.
The gonorrhea.
The chlamydia and the gonorrhea.
Yeah, I revealed on the Breaking Vinyl podcast that I had crabs and chlamydia at the same time. And my 3 co-hosts all told me that they never had crabs or chlamydia. Okay. And I started that podcast off by saying, so I was talking to my wife the other night, asked her if she'd ever had crabs, and she said no, and then asked me if I was crazy. Okay. Okay.
Oh
let's keep
Shall we move
rolling.
on?
I think we should.
Okay, so Stacy's brother Brad, played by Judge Reinhold, is a semi-dorky senior, but is relatively popular because he has his own car and is a low-grade supervisor at All American Burger, a favorite after-school hangout and a place that treats teen employees rather well. Brad is spending his final year in high school basking in the joy of becoming the owner of his blue 1960 Buick LeSabre and obsessing over the best way to ease out of his longtime relationship with his girlfriend Lisa, Amanda Weiss, who also works at All American Burger. Surfer type Jeff Spiccoli, played by Sean Penn, is the resident stoner who begins the new school year tumbling out of a Volkswagen microbus after hotboxing in the parking lot as the final attendance bell rings. Spiccoli tries to come into the stern Mr. Hand's, played by Ray Walston's, history class after the final bell, but Mr. Hand has locked the door. Spicoli knocks on the door, but when Mr. Hand sends him to the principal's office, Spiccoli calls him a dick, thus beginning a vendetta between Mr. Hand and Spiccoli that will last throughout the movie. So, Dez, Mr. Hand is the perfect foil to Spiccoli. And also, can you smell the smell of ditto paper to this day? Because I can.
So good. I love all these opening scenes. First of all, that fucking Beetle bus is so awesome, man. The colors, everything. Like that thing now is worth, if you have one of those, worth so much money.
Yeah.
I love when Brad's in the mirror and he's rehearsing his breakup speech and he's wiping off big hairy pussy off the fucking mirror. I'm fucking laughing my ass off. It's fucking so good. And Spicoli comes in and you're tearing up why are you doing that? And fucking it's just all so good. I love Spicoli. Sean Penn had that wired. That is like absolute pop culture. Jess Spicoli, everybody knows who he is. Kids today, it was masterfully done. Love the Buick LeSabre. My mother owned one. I drove it when one of the first cars I drove with no license or no permit. And it was funny because actually my mother had gone out. Wasn't her car. It was her boyfriend's car. It was silver, Buick LeSabre, big one. And they had gone out one night. Yeah, they had gone out one night in her car. And I had an upstairs neighbor, this kid Mike, and my friend Richie Keys, and he was over at my house. So we decided we were going to take that car. None of us had a license or a permit. We were living probably about a half an hour from the city, from Boston. We were living in Braintree at the time. And we take this car and we drive into the city, right?
It's not even like you drove down the street to the McDonald's. You actually got into Boston.
Yes, we drove into Boston. And I fucking didn't stop at a red light and I rear-ended a guy. And it was funny because I didn't like hammer him or anything. I just bumped him. And he got out of the car and, I'm like, I'm driving like this. And my mom's boyfriend's car. And he's like, all right, just go home. Just go home. No damage. Just go home. So we took the car back, parked it. No damage. Never got caught.
So you drove into Boston to rear end some random dude.
Yes. We drove through the combat zone like all young fucking dipshits will. And then rear-ended a guy. I mean, we were literally going, it was one of those, like, when you know what the combat zone looks like. We were down in that part of town and, just creeping down and just the light turned red and I didn't stop and I just fucking backed the guy in the back. It was no big deal, but he was very nice and he didn't it could have been a lot worse. So we're really not talking about the movie very much. Mikki, do you have anything to say about the actual movie?
Yeah, I love the scene. For some reason, this scene always sticks in my head when they're sitting and Phoebe Cates is showing Jennifer Jason Leigh. She's like, and those are the fate of the Pat Benatar. And they have the two girls walking in the cafeteria that both look like Pat Benatar. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't know, again, the nostalgia of that whole thing. Jeff Spicoli has to be like in the top 10 most memorable movie characters from the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just, if not the number one, he's just amazing. And Eric Stoltz, that was like his first movie role, I think, or one of his first movie roles. But I don't know.
It had to be very close to Pretty in Pink, right?
Yeah. I don't even know. And I don't know which one's first.
No, he wasn't in Pretty in Pink, was he? He was in Some Kind of Wonderful.
Oh, Some Kind of Wonderful.
Some Kind of Wonderful. Right. I think that was after Fast Times.
Yeah.
But this movie, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag, but this movie is one of those movies that I could literally watch pieces of probably every day and not get sick of.
Me too. 100%. Me too. And it's funny with the Pat Benatar thing, in junior high and high school, same thing. How many Madonnas were walking around my school? Mm-hmm. How many Pat Benatars were? I mean, everybody. I mean, I was trying to be Nikki Sixx. You had fucking everybody was trying to be somebody. And it was so much fun. It was like going to school is like Halloween. Fun fact. Unlike most normal kids, I actually tattooed "Eat Me" on my arm to try and be like Nikki Sixx. Now, Nikki Sixx was smart enough to just write it with black eyeliner. I had actually tattooed it on my arm. So any day I would go to school and I had a shirt on that exposed it, they would send me home.
Oh my God. I
Yes,
remember
it's being covered.
this was a couple years later, I think. But I remember like, of course, Duran Duran, but like John Taylor's hair was like the fucking best. And I remember the woman that did my hair was like on like the main street of the town that I lived in, and everybody knew everybody in that town. And I remember going to her and saying that I had really, really long hair, longer than it is now. And I remember saying, I want you to cut it super short, and I want you to dye it like eggplant, and I want the bangs bleach blonde. And she's like, what? And I was like, do it. And she's like, your mother is going to fucking kill me. And I was like, I don't care. It's not her hair. I'm doing it. And I have my own money. And she did it. And I remember walking home, and my mom at the time was a bartender, and I walked in where she was bartending, and I walked in and she goes, oh my God, I fucking love it. And I was like, God damn it. Like, I wanted her to hate it.
Yeah, like, suddenly it wasn't so cool.
No, it's
Mickey,
still been cool, but like, I wanted her to hate it.
Yeah.
can we see a picture of this? Is it possible?
I don't have one, believe it or not.
Oh.
I don't have one. I may know someone that does, but I don't have one.
Oh,
Well,
you can
if
work
come
on that.
across one, you got to share it with us.
Yeah, you can work on
yeah.
that. Okay.
And also too, it was, back then it was one of those things where I did, I got the haircut, but then I never did anything with it. Like, I just let it go. Do you know what I mean? I never like styled
Kept
it
it
every
up
day.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when I was 15, so I was in the 8th grade, so this is junior high school. My mother, for my birthday, she gave me a blank check, and she was in AA at the time, and she had a guy that was like she'd gone to a meeting with, and he was like, "I'm having a tattoo party in Dorchester." So my mother gives me a blank check and sends me into Dorchester on the fucking train, and I get this gigantic Black Panther tattooed on my forearm. Huge, right? And yeah, I'm the only kid in fucking junior high with a gigantic panther tattooed on my fucking forearm. Fucking "Eat Me" on my shoulder. All the other kids are like showing up with like their backpack, and their mom like, packed their peanut butter sandwich. And I'm fucking showing up with a
now, is
giant
this
tattoo.
before or after you wanted to be the breakdance king?
This would be after the breakdance
Okay.
thing. Yeah, the breakdance
What did
thing
you
was like,
call those guys?
what, the floor lords?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was 7th grade was like breakdance kind of thing, and then 8th grade going into like 9th grade, which was my last year of high school. I quit high school as a freshman. Actually, I didn't even quit. They were just like, stop coming. Like, just stop coming. Don't come here anymore. Like, there was no nobody looked into it. They were just like, you don't need to come here anymore. You're a complete lunatic.
Right.
So yeah, just stopped going to school and then moved out to the West Coast. So that was nice. Delynn, why don't you continue on with this movie?
If I may.
Sure.
After Linda teaches Stacy how to give a blowjob with a carrot in the cafeteria, Stacy goes to biology where Rat sees her, who then immediately announces to Damone that he's in love with her. Unbeknownst to him, the sexually curious Stacy is out hooking up with the stereo salesman. He deflowers her in a baseball dugout, but the romance doesn't last. It's Christmas in the mall, and she's not heard from him since November. In addition to his brief encounters with Stacy at the pizza parlor during his breaks at the movie theater, Mark Ratner ends up with Stacy as his lab partner in biology class. Rat receives pointers from his friend Damone, the scalper. With prodding from Damone, Rat goes over to the pizza parlor one evening and asks for Stacy's phone number, saying he'll call her to ask her out on a date. Embarrassed but flattered, Stacy accepts Mark's offer. Meanwhile, Brad gets fired from All American Burger because some angry customer pushes his buttons and he screams at him. During a pep rally, he explains to his girlfriend, who he's been planning to ditch all along, that he needs her now more than ever, and she announces that it's time for them to split up so they can enjoy their senior year without attachments. So, Mickey, it's always amusing to me when this happens. The guy is planning to dump her, and she gets the jump on him.
Yes, I love it. And it's so, like, he's kind of a shit. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, later on, like, I love that he's so cool with his sister, but like, he's kind of a shit.
Yeah.
Who, Brad?
And so,
But I mean, like, that's a teenage boy, right?
Brad? Are
Right.
we saying Brad's a shit?
Yeah.
Yes.
No way. Brad is fucking awesome. Brad
That's
is
why
a
I
great.
said later on he's
Yeah.
actually really cool with what he does for his sister.
Brad. I love Brad. Love Brad. He hasn't been laid in 2 years. Of course he's gonna break up with her. He says it. He goes, "We've been dating 2 years. Can we go to the fucking point and get laid?" She's like, "Nope."
Like Mike Damone's a tool, but like he's like I probably would have hung out with him out of all those people. I would have hung out with him because he was into the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Mike
Yeah.
Damone is awesome. Mike Damone is awesome. He's an entrepreneur. He's fucking putting the vibe out to a million women. That's the point, Brad. That's what I'm saying. I love Mike Damone. I love Damone. Dresses sharp, ladies man. Every bit of advice that he gives Rat, if Rat would just listen to Damone, he would be getting laid. But he doesn't. He's a total dork. Ugh,
well,
God.
yeah, he's got some issues.
I wrote later on that his advice to Rat is suspect at best.
No, what? His advice is spot on. He is the coolest. Now, let's talk about Ron, the radio salesman. Now, he knows that fucking she's not 19.
Of course.
He knows this.
Of course he does.
Now,
He doesn't give a fuck.
but why? Let me ask you. He's 26 years old. He's driving like a really nice car. Why is he fucking taking her to a baseball dugout? Like, does he have an apartment?
He doesn't wanna
or-
take
Probably
her
has
there.
a girlfriend.
Yeah. He doesn't want to take her
maybe.
there.
But I feel like we may have missed a scene too, because so he does send her flowers the next day.
Yeah.
And if it was just a hookup and he was never going to call or talk to her again, why is he sending her a dozen roses with a romantic card?
I think, to be honest with you, I think that was to feed his ego because he wants her to think he's this amazing guy. Like, I know a lot of guys like him, and he he's a narcissist. He wants to get the young hookup. Probably is either married or has a girlfriend or lives with mom still. So he can't take her back to his house. So he takes her to a baseball dugout, then sends her flowers to feed his ego, and then he's done.
Now, let me ask you this, because it seemed that the Ron Damone hookup was all within a week or two.
No, I think it was
No.
after.
No.
I don't
It
know.
was a
Did she
couple
get?
months.
No, because she okay, so here's the deal. She goes on the date with him. Then they show them at school. Then it's Christmas. And and Phoebe Cates says, "When was the last time you talked to him?" And she said November.
Okay.
So it's been a couple of months.
Okay. So Ron took precautions.
Well,
Yes.
whether he took precautions or not, nothing happened at the very least.
Okay. Well, a lot happened. I watched it. Okay.
Oh God. Did you?
All right.
Oh God,
keep-
we're off the rails.
Yeah, it's one of those podcasts. I love it. Let's keep going.
All right, well, here we go. Damone gives Rat pointers for his date with Stacy, though they're pretty awful advice. Like I said. The date
Great.
goes well, despite Mark forgetting his wallet at home and the tape deck being stolen from his sister's car during their dinner at the local German restaurant. They go back to Stacy's house, where she comes on to him. Inexperienced with sex, he chickens out, leaving her there with nothing but her robe on. This leads Stacy to confide in Linda that she believes mistakenly that Mark isn't interested in her. Spiccoli is out with Charles Jefferson's brother in Jefferson's nice Z28. He drives it into a construction site and totals the car. With no way to fix it and afraid of Jefferson, played by Forrest Whitaker, he trashes the car and puts the school rival's name all over it, so Jefferson thinks that the rival school destroyed his ride. At the game, he ends up destroying the other team, sending some of them out on stretchers. Des, I loved this because it was like Spiccoli just was like, whoop, like not in trouble at all for this really boneheaded thing he does.
Yeah. So I love the date. First of all, I love the advice. Order for the girl. It's classy. Find out what she wants. Order for her. Great advice.
Do you do that
Play
for Dylan?
Always.
Never. He's
cashmere.
never ordered for me. I have to order from him because he gets so socially anxious. He'll just
Dude,
go, just order for me. Just order
Dude,
for me.
Mark that. We're gonna edit
No,
it out.
sir.
No,
No,
shoes.
dude.
No
No
dice.
dice.
Yeah. So he tells her, always find out what the lady wants. Order for the lady. Classy move. Great advice. Whenever making out, play cashmere if possible. Great advice. Wherever you are, that's the place to be. fucking this kid's got it all together. I love him. I love that when he realizes that when Rad realizes he's forgotten his wallet and he's like he wants to go back to college. She's like, "Can I take your order?" And the music comes in. And, the lady will have the bratwurst, and I'll have the same. And then he calls Damone. I love Damone. He's watching like whatever on his little black and white TV. Jeez, Rad, I'm really kind of busy right
I'm really
now.
kind of busy, Rat.
It's so good. It's so good. And then when he shows up, hey, I come here for the streusel, or whatever he says.
I love that they look like little kids sitting in those chairs.
Oh, you called it because Delynn actually said I think these chairs are oversized on purpose to make them look smaller and younger.
Yeah, because
they look like little kids. And then at the end, she's like, "Do you want another Coke?" She's like, "Okay," because she said like 800 Cokes.
And then when you look at the people sitting behind them, they're in the quote unquote same chairs, but they look normal in them. So I'm like, I think they purposely made oversized chairs to make them look extra small.
Right.
Yeah. I love when Damone, says, "Hey, Rad, you left your wallet at my house." He goes, "Oh, I've been looking for that." And Stacy looks at him like, "Okay, I get what's going on now. Like why we had to have 14 Cokes, Yeah, it's all really good.
Do you want another Coke?
Okay. Yeah, okay. We get the wrecking of Jefferson's car, and my brother, he goes, "Shit, he's gonna kill us." Well, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna shit or is he gonna kill us? He's first gonna shit, then he's gonna kill us. Then he goes, "Don't worry about it. My dad's a TV repairman. He's got a totally awesome set of tools. I can fix it." You can't fix this, Spiccoli. I can fix it. It's so good. It's so good. I'm fucking laughing. I fucking love this. I love all this. Mikki, what'd you think?
Same. Again, Sean Penn, this role for him, like he's done a lot of really good stuff. He's an amazing, amazing actor.
So good.
Jeff Spiccoli is like one of my favorite roles that he's done. I loved him in this. I loved him in Bad Boys.
Oh, so I was going to ask you if you'd seen that because that is like, dude, one of my favorite. Oh, can we do it? Can we do Bad Boys?
Yeah.
Oh, all right, Delynn, you're going to have to suck it up for Bad Boys because this is one of my favorite.
Do you not like it, Delynn?
I've never seen it.
It's heavy. So good. It's very
heavy.
Mikki,
but
fucking when he gets the Coke cans and puts them in the pillowcase.
Oh my god!
Oh, I love it.
He's literally told me about this scene 17 times.
Yeah, that was like the scene when you were growing up. Like, holy shit,
the best. But
and
you want Viking and Tweety to get it so bad, and they do.
Sean Penn was just so. He's amazing. And you know what else I loved him in? I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but if you haven't, you should. I Am Sam.
I don't think I saw that.
Oh my God. So it's Dakota Fanning when she was little. And he plays a mentally challenged man and that's his daughter, and he's raising her on his own. And she's not mentally challenged. It's one of those movies that you're going to cry. You know what I mean? Dez, you're going to love it.
Mikki, spoiler alert. I cried at the end of this. I'm going to tell you what scene. And the worst part is, Mikki, I wasn't even watching it. I was listening to the audio of it at work because I have this site that I go to that just plays movies through your headphones. Yeah. So I was listening to it at work and it got to this scene and I'm crying at work. I'm like, you are so fucking I need therapy. Okay. Like this is a problem.
I'm telling you, if you get a chance, watch I Am Sam. It's really good.
I think this is the one. Is this the one that they were laughing about in Tropic Thunder where they say never go full retard?
I don't know if that's the one.
I can't. I think it was. Yeah, it was Sean Penn, wasn't it? I think, it was Sean Penn. So that when Ben Stiller is talking to Simple Jack, he's doing Simple Jack in Tropic Thunder. That's his character that he did before he gets the role in Tropic Thunder. And he plays Simple Jack. And he's like, da, 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 da. And Robert Downey Jr. is like, never go full retard. Learn from Sean Penn. You never go full retard. So that's the movie. Hey, I didn't.
You gotta watch it. Okay? It's really good. Jennifer Garner's in it. It's really well done. It's a really good movie.
I really like Sean Penn.
Have you seen Tropic Thunder, Mikki?
when it first came out.
I was gonna say, if you haven't seen it, you're gonna see it because it was. I mean, it's
Yeah.
inappropriate then, but it's more inappropriate
Yeah,
now.
a long time ago when it first came out. I don't even remember much about it, but yeah. So Sean Penn, Jeff Spiccoli, again, top 10 most recognizable movie characters of the 80s, I think.
Definitely.
Agreed.
100%. 100%.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I don't know if we got to it yet, but the scene with Phoebe Cates and the moving in stereo.
Oh my
this may
God.
be
You're
the most.
jumping ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, let's
Yeah,
keep going
jumping
then.
ahead. Yeah. All right.
I think when
Brad
it
is-
came on today, I went, "Holy shit!" And so then
Yeah.
went, "Fucking grow up."
I went. Really? You've never seen boobs before? Okay.
And what did I say?
I don't remember what you said. Something like.
Okay.
All right. So Brad is forced to take a new job at Captain Hook Fish and Chips, a fish fry restaurant. Employees are forced to wear pirate uniforms, and after being laughed at by a beautiful woman, played by Nancy Wilson, while out on a delivery, Brad quits in disgust while tossing all the catch of the day boxes out of his car into the street. As Brad life crumbles, he is now no friends, no job, but Stacy and Linda are sitting by the pool discussing men. Meanwhile, Damone convinces Mark to give it another shot with Stacy. Damone leads Mark to Stacy's house, where Damone crashes the girl chat. Brad comes home, dejected, and goes into the house. The teens all comment on how Brad is so depressed after losing his job at the All-American Burger. Brad heads for the bathroom and starts to masturbate as he fantasizes about Linda approaching him in her bikini and undoing her top, in a now legendary scene set to the cars moving in stereo. Linda jumps into the pool and gets water in her ear. She makes her way to the bathroom for a Q-tip and is shocked to catch Brad masturbating, which of course ruins the pool party.
He was masturbating. He was masturbating. Franklin Beans.
The funny thing is, though, I have to laugh, though, because she acts like...
Dude.
Disgusted.
The look on her face.
Just with the water in the air, you'd think that she had like a bug crawl in there. The way she's acting, like
Right.
I would never just get out of the pool and run into the house just to get the water out of my ear. Do you know what I mean?
I think she's a bit of a drama queen.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
But the look on her face when she looks over his shoulder and sees what he's doing, it's the funniest look. I went to and look at her face.
Because she goes like,
"Ugh." Yeah, like she just saw fucking like a train wreck or something. It's so funny. I guess she did, but But once again, here we go. So this is my thing with Damone. So it's wrong. He shouldn't have done that to Rad, right? But Rad never. I mean, he took her out once. He couldn't even kiss her. She comes out of the fucking. They get home. She's like, "Oh, help me out of my clothes. I'm in my bathrobe. Let's lay down. Oh, let's kiss." He's like, "I gotta go. I can't kiss the girl." Like when I was that age, that was it. Green light. I'm on. I'm in. I'm like a tick on a fucking dog in the woods. Like I was telling Delynn. Like we're sitting on that bed and my hand is in her underwear in 3 seconds. Like this kid did not deserve it. They get to the pool and he's like, "Come on, let's go in." And he's like, "I don't know. Maybe we should call first." And he's like, "You're such a loser." He's like, "Pop your collar and let's go." So they go in. Sure enough, the girls are happy to have him there. And this is where I think Damone takes over the relationship with Stacy.
I think they were trying to show how drastically different Damone and Mark were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to be fair, Rat is a little snivelly.
Yeah.
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 He
Rat
lives up
is
to
like
his name well.
Yeah, Damone is your average high school guy.
Yeah.
Like Rat is not. Like at most high school guys, when you're like 16, 15, 16, 17, 14, you are like, if it is offered up, you're there. Like you looked at enough of your mom's JCPenney catalogs, it's time to play.
You're old.
That's
You didn't say Montgomery Ward.
It may have been. That was my Yaya's house. Like she had all those she had stacks of those things. And I would like take it in the bathroom and be like, go to the lingerie section. I think I can see some nipple. Shit.
Kids these days don't know how good they've got it. They literally just look it up and there it is.
Okay.
Moving on, shall we?
Yeah. We have not. I hope that you didn't come here for a review of Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I know.
Well, I'm going to put the pedal to the metal because this next one covers a lot of it. So here we go. Back at school, Spiccoli continues to annoy Mr. Hand, including one episode in which Spiccoli arranges for a pizza delivery in the middle of class by a less than thrilled pizza guy, only to have Mr. Hand take the pizza away and distribute it to his favorite students. Over the next several weeks, Stacy grows attracted to Mark's friend Damone. Stacy meets Damone after school and Damone drives her home. Damone asks if Stacy has any iced tea and then he wants to go for a swim. She brings him into the changing booth near the pool. Instead of swimming, they two have very clumsy, unsatisfying sex in the changing booth. Later, Stacy tells Linda and Mark Damone that she's pregnant. Stacy tells Damone that they decide to have an abortion is the only solution. She asks Damone to pay for half of it and give her a ride to the clinic. Damone agrees. A little later, Damone and Ratner get into an argument over Stacy in the locker room after Ratner hears that Damone has been with Stacy. After Damone and Ratner almost get into a fist fight, they cut ties with one another. Damone has a hard time coming up with his half of the money for the abortion. Damone desperately and unsuccessfully attempts to collect from past clients who owe him money. It's only then that Damone finally discovers how little power and popularity he has with his other teens. Ashamed, Damone does not show up to drive Stacy to the clinic and avoids her phone calls. Stacy catches a ride with Brad to a nearby bowling alley under the pretense that she is meeting some friends there. Brad sees Stacy leave the bowling alley and enter the clinic. After the procedure's finished, Brad is waiting for Stacy outside and talks to her about what happened, though Stacy will not tell him the identity of the father. Stacy's sibling bond grows with Brad when he shows a brotherly act of kindness by not pressing the issue. Linda, however, is not so charitable. After Stacy tells her of Damone's deception, Linda goes after Damone by scrawling prick in spray paint on his car door and little prick in marker on his school locker.
That little prick.
Yeah, I think he got off light. Even if he had just been honest with her, he would have avoided having that happen. But this is the kind of stupid shit the high school kids do.
Yeah,
you know,
agreed. And that he's kind of a shit for doing that. But like I said, I think Brad's kind of a tool, but I love that he, when it came down to it, he was there for his sister, and
she needed like, him, and he was there.
Yeah, and she's like, "Don't tell mom and dad." He's like, "Come on," you know what I mean? Like, I love that he did that. I feel like we saw some growth in Brad throughout this movie.
Absolutely.
You know, but still, like Mike Damone, you're right. He is like the typical, you know, high school guy thinking he's the shit. Then he fucks up and can't own it, you know?
Right. I love the pizza delivery scene. Fucking Mr. Hand says, "Am I hallucinating?" And the fucking dude comes in with the pizza, and then, you know, we get this whole speech from Spiccoli. My time, your time, our time. Nothing wrong with a feast on our time. That pizza actually looked pretty good.
It did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat sausage, but if I did, that'd be yummy. But, you know, so in the locker room, Damone's going to say something to Mark that is honest. And he says to him, "In my opinion, Stacy's a very aggressive girl." She is very aggressive. She's very aggressive. She wanted it more. She lured fucking Damone into that pool house. She knew what she wanted. She was hunting Damone.
I don't disagree with you there.
Yeah. And she was too much for Mark Ratner. He couldn't handle her. You know, I mean, it wasn't
not at
right.
That stage, at least.
It wasn't right. And Damone felt bad. He didn't want to do it. And there's a moment when he's drinking the iced tea at the table where she says, "You know, you want to go swimming?" He's like, "I guess so." And he actually stops for a second, and you see him contemplating on whether he's going to do this or not, because he knows if he goes out there, it's happening. And he goes, he fucking shrugs his shoulders and goes, "Okay." And he makes the decision that he's going to go ahead and do this. But I don't blame him. He's young. It's high school. The opportunity's presented itself. It's not like fucking Mark and Stacy are an item or a thing.
Right.
They went out on one date and it didn't work out. And that's it. And he's not calling her anymore. And Mark is pretty much, you know, given up. So she's free in my mind.
Yeah, I think I agree with that because, I mean, would it have been nice if he had said, you know, "Hey, Rat, you know, Stacy is showing some interest in me. Is that going to totally bum you out?" You know, that's the stand-up thing to do.
Right.
But nobody said that Damone was a stand-up kind of guy, so.
Right.
But Damone doesn't want to date Stacy. This was something that just happened. Like, she was pursuing him. Because you see, she's drawing pictures of her and Damone in her book. She had decided she liked him and wanted to hook up with him. This was not him wanting to hook up with her.
Right.
So
I think she genuinely likes the bad guys.
yes. Yeah, agreed.
And I think, and I don't know, at the age I am now, I watch it and I wish that, and I remember back to like, the awkward, like pool house sex. Do you know what I mean? Like the kids were so awkward in that.
Yes.
And like, you think about it now and it's like, as adults, I think it would have gone a lot differently had they been even in their 20s and that
Yeah.
had happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think, but I love that they showed whoever, and I apologize, I don't remember who directed and wrote the movie, but like whoever did this, like really got into the head and the mind space of high school kids.
Well, they did research by going I think it was
Cameron
who did I
Crowe
say? Yeah,
wrote
he
it.
actually
I love him.
actually went to high school undercover as a high school student. So, yeah, actually went before doing the movie. So that was interesting. Yeah, I thought the sex scene was very believable between, two guys, a guy and a girl for a second time. Her toenails are so long, it's disturbing.
I didn't
Yeah.
either.
Very earthy. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I love that
didn't
you
even know
noticed the
that.
weirdest shit. I have to go back and watch it now.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, she doesn't have her feet they're fine, but it's just odd. Like their toenails aren't painted. They're very, very long. They're square. It's kind of strange.
Interesting.
Okay.
You'd notice.
I would.
All right. After a month or two later, Stacy and Mark are fated to be together again when they go on a biology class field trip to observe an autopsy performed by their flaky biology teacher, Mr. Vargas, played by
him.
Vincent Scavelli, who was in Buckaroo Banzai too. And
Yeah.
Buckaroo Banzai is such a weird movie, but I kind of just love it. It's so stupid and weird, and I love it. So I love seeing Vincent Scavelli here. I'm like, there he is. Spiccoli tags along with the class despite the fact that he does not take biology just for the excursion. When Mr. Vargas starts to rip organs out of the corpse, Stacy feels sick and Mark helps her out of the procedure room. Stacy is grateful to Mark for staying with her and says he's a nice guy. School is coming to an end, and Mr. Hand takes some revenge on Spiccoli by visiting him at his home on the night of the graduation dance and administrating an impromptu American history lesson long enough to delay Spiccoli until well after the prom has already started. Surprisingly, Spiccoli does well with Mr. Hand's questioning, and the two are actually amicable by the end of the session. Still, the teacher relents on the question of whether or not he will flunk Spiccoli, telling the stone surfer that he'll probably squeak by. Mike Damone and Mark Ratner speak to each other at the prom. A tenuous bond is reformed, but Damone knows he no longer has power over Rat. Meanwhile, Linda has Stacy cornered in the bathroom crying about how Doug did not come to the graduation party, leaving little doubt that Doug is made up by Linda to seem cooler without actually having to do any of the things she says she does. So, Mikki, the woman that Mr. Vargas introduces as his wife at the dance, that tall blonde, is Lana Clarkson, and she would become infamous later as the woman that Phil Spector killed. And also, fun fact, she is actually younger than Jennifer and Jason Leigh, even at the time.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
she's younger than her. So that just goes to show you. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting tidbit. I saw that today and I was like, what? So yeah. That's who that was.
What I loved about this final scene was we finally see that Phoebe Cates' character and Damone are basically the same character on two sides of a coin. You got Rat and Damone, and then you've got Phoebe and Stacy, and they're both kind of phonies, but they're looking up to them. Rat's looking up to Damone, and Stacy's looking up to whatever the fuck her name is, Linda. And then at the end, they're both exposed as being kind of frauds. And, they're both kind of, looking now to, are we still friends? Or, that's with Rat and Damone. And Rat finally says, yeah, we can still be friends, but we're going to do it on my terms. You're not as cool as, I thought you were. And then Stacy is going to find out that, this pilot that fucking Linda's been dating from, Niagara Falls or Chicago or whatever. It's total bullshit. And she gives a kind of a wink and a smile to the camera, like, I know that this is a lie and this letter she wrote is to nobody. So I thought that was kind of nice.
It's kind of like, the the friends that you thought were so cool with the biggest mouth and the most experience maybe aren't all they're cracked up to be in the long run, and it might be just a front, you know?
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Did you guys have animals in your biology class? I mean, I never
No.
took high school biology, but I was like, they have a monkey? Like,
Yeah.
they
No,
have a
there was no
monkey?
monkey in my school.
Like, are
No.
they gonna carve that monkey up like in
We had jars of frogs, but that was it. Of dead frogs.
That's so weird.
It was so gross. I didn't want to do it.
A monkey though? Like, what are they gonna do with a monkey?
And they're not. There's no schools have monkeys. Some schools have like bunnies and stuff like that, but
Right. As like a
It's all-
class pet, they'll have like a
Yes.
guinea pig or something, but I don't know any school that has a monkey for a class pet.
Okay, so I'm gonna reveal the cry scene. So Mr. Hand goes to Jeff Spiccoli's to tell him that, he is going to be getting his time back. And I love this whole scene, break out your book and your history book. Oh, I left that book in my locker. Well, good thing I brought another one. And he was like, oh, shit. So they go through all that. And, he says, you'll probably pass. And he goes, aloha, Mr. Hand. And Mr. Hand goes, aloha, Spiccoli. And I fucking started crying like a fucking baby. And at that moment, I knew what score I was giving this movie. At that moment, I knew what score I was giving this movie.
wow.
So yeah,
Oh my
I love
God.
it. So good, so good.
Did you guys, so that makes me think, did you guys, completely not related to Fast Times, but did you guys ever watch Hook?
Who, with
the
fucking
one
Robin
with,
Williams?
Robin
Yeah.
Williams.
Not my
Yeah.
jam. Not my jam.
Okay. I love Peter Pan. I love the story of Peter Pan. I love The Lost Boys. I love it all. And I love Robin Williams. And the first time I saw Hook, there's a scene in the movie where, I don't know if you know the premise of the story, but he's Peter Pan and he's grown up.
Yeah.
And he doesn't remember being Peter Pan. And he's got to go back now because Hook has taken his children. He's grown and has children now, and he married Wendy and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, there's a scene when he's in Neverland and he's trying to figure out how to get his kids back because he can't remember how to be Peter Pan, and he remembers how to be Peter Pan, and he's, oh my God, and he puts his arm up and he goes shooting out of the volcano thing. I bawled the first time I saw that. I was like, he's got his sense of flight back. So I get it. I get the whole like, okay, that's a really stupid geeky moment, but I'm doing it anyway. So yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. That's what makes us
Right.
synthetic
So-
beings.
A movie that I saw with Robin Williams that I love, probably my favorite Robin Williams movie, is called Insomnia with him and Al Pacino.
Yes.
It's really good. Like, I really like it. It's a murder mystery. Just really good.
I haven't seen it in years, but yeah.
Yeah, it takes place in Alaska. It's daytime, 24 hours a day. So it starts fucking with like Al Pacino's mind, and it's a really, really good
Mhm.
one. So I enjoyed it
Interesting.
very much. Yeah, I mean, that's what I love about Robin Williams. He's another one of these guys that can really do anything. Well, could do anything. The late
I miss
great.
him. He was amazing.
Yeah. Really was. Really
I
was.
saw his last stand-up tour.
Oh, really?
Oh, did you?
Yep. Yeah, and
Wow.
at the DPAC in North Carolina, actually.
Oh, nice.
I was in the second row, and he was just phenomenal. He was phenomenal.
Did you ever watch Louis C.K.?
No.
Oh my God, the funniest comedian in the world. fucking great.
So let's wrap up with a couple of just the end, especially so you can talk about your Billy Rosewood.
Theory. Yes.
Yes. In the closing scene, Stacy, still working at the pizza joint, sees Mark at his station across the mall at the theater. She waves him over and gives him a demure photo of herself. She makes it clear she'd like to begin seeing him again. Mark is at first tentative, but Stacy playfully nudges Mark and eggs him on. He looks at Stacy for a moment, smiles, and says he'll call her. Meanwhile, Brad is working at his new job, the bottom rung on a high school scale of after-school employment, the convenience store called Mighty Mart. Spiccoli walks in and tries to make a purchase while fumbling for pocket change. He then asks to use the bathroom. As soon as Spiccoli walks away to use the restroom, a car pulls up in front of the store. A robber exits the car, walks in, and sprays the security camera, pulls out a pistol, and tells Brad to give him all the money in the wall safe. Brad gets very nervous and can't open the safe. When the armed robber threatens to shoot and kill Brad, Brad's fear suddenly turns into anger as he melts off to the armed robber, wishing that he could just die. As Brad sees this as just another rotten episode in his further disintegrating life. Just then, Spiccoli walks out of the bathroom complaining that there's no paper towels, and he inadvertently distracts the thief for a few seconds, just long enough for the mad Brad to grab and throw a pot of hot coffee in the robber's face, jump over the counter, take his gun away, and capture the would-be thief as the criminal's getaway car peels away out of the parking lot, making Brad a local hero, at least in Spiccoli's eyes. Amen.
Yeah, this is where Brad Hamilton decided to pursue his career in law enforcement. Changed his name to Billy Rosewood, and the rest is history, as we know. Brad is not a pussy, and he's shown this a couple times in this movie, where he tells the one guy, I'll kick 100% of your ass, and then fucking here he's telling a guy at gunpoint, basically, fuck you, dude. Fucking, I love Brad Hamilton. I think he's such a great.
I think
character.
he's that guy that needs. He's really kind of level and even keel, and he's got to be pushed to his limit. But when he is, like, watch it.
Look out, look out.
Yep.
And I wasn't sure that Rad had forgiven Stacy, and that was going anywhere. It seemed like he was shining her on to me. I think that once what happened with Damone happened, he chose Damone over her at that point. I'll be friends with you again. He was all set with her.
Did you finish watching the movie? It says at the end that they're in the middle of a torrid love affair. Didn't finish watching the movie.
I was checking to see if you were paying attention. I'm glad that you watched the end.
I think that Mark and Linda should have got together.
I think that Brad and Linda should have got together, because then she could have had her older guy.
Yeah, I don't think he was old enough for her. I think she was looking for an adult.
Yeah, I forgot about the
torrid. She probably got some daddy issues.
I forgot about the torrid love affair fucking comment. But it's funny because I've literally watched this movie beginning to end. I don't think it would be exaggeration to say I've seen this movie 500 times. So I guess I just, as we know, I didn't graduate. I didn't graduate from the 9th grade, so I never learned to read. So learn something new every day.
All right, shall we get to our casting couch?
Yeah, let's do it. So I would replace Sean Penn, and I mean,
What?
I wouldn't replace anybody. I wouldn't replace anybody in this movie. Anybody. It's perfectly cast. And Sean Penn would be the last person I would replace.
Yes.
But I had a fun replacement, which is the only reason I'm going to do it. And this would not make the movie better, and it would not be a better Spiccoli, but it would be a serviceable Spiccoli. I would put Keanu Reeves in his Bill and Ted days as Spiccoli.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Yeah. With his long hair and, Ted, she's Ted, whatever. It would work.
Dude, excellent.
Yeah, excellent, Mr. Hahn. I don't know. Mikki, what do you got?
This is a stretch because I feel like a young Sandra Bullock would have done a good Stacy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. I'm down with that. Absolutely.
I'll take
I don't know
that.
if she would have looked as good moving in stereo, but
Well,
That's
not her.
Linda.
oh,
That's
Stacey's
Linda.
not a
Stacy.
girl.
Oh, Stacy. Okay.
Jennifer Jason Leigh. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a young Sandra Bullock could have played that role.
I agree.
I would see Bullock more as
Phoebe Cates.
Phoebe Cates role. Maybe because they're brunettes.
And I can't see Sandra Bullock showing her tits. So
Yeah.
No, I can't either. I don't think she'd do that.
I wonder what size her cup is.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I've got two, and one's a throwaway just because it made me laugh when I thought of it. Replace Jeff Spiccoli, Sean Penn, with Pauly Shore.
Oh shit. That's
my
funny.
God.
That's great. Hey, buddy.
Yeah, it would just be
Weasel.
stupid. It would be completely stupid.
Yeah, it'd
But
be
my
wheezing.
real one is replace the kid that plays Rat with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good? Isn't that good?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally worked.
I
Totally
thought that was a
worked.
really good one.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Totally worked.
Yeah, that would have
And I
been
mean,
awesome.
And you could have even moved Judge Reinhold over and just put fucking Nick Cage in that spot. I'm sure he would have been fine as Brad Hamilton.
Yeah, I think Nick Cage tried out for either Brad or for Spiccoli, but because he was 17 and could only work certain hours, they couldn't cast him.
Right.
So-
I mean, I'm glad they didn't because, like I said, this movie is perfectly cast.
yeah.
All right. I hope everybody enjoyed this podcast because we really didn't talk about the movie that much, but it was entertaining. So let's do some final thoughts and rewatch score.
All right.
So like I said, I've seen this movie a million times, and it's great every single time I watch it. Every time I can, if this movie's on, I can just leave it on and watch it. And I thought the casting flawless, flawless. Spiccoli, iconic, a forever character, perfectly crafted, perfectly written, perfectly acted. This movie fires on all cylinders from the beginning to the very, very end when I cry. Uh, I hate to do this 2 weeks in a row. It's a perfect movie. It's 5 rewatches. There's not one single hole in it. It's perfect. 5 rewatches. Mikki, what do you got?
So like you, I've seen this movie countless times. I just remember it was on like constant repeat on the VHS, on the VCR. I feel like this movie is what Last American Virgin tried to be.
Yeah.
And granted, that movie had some great music too, but I don't know, everything about Fast Times, like the comedy, the fact that it was high school, like that's what high school was like. The music, I mean, Jesus, like the cars, the Go-Go's, like everything about, I don't know, I love it. I think I'm gonna give it a 4.8.
4.8.
All right.
Mikki, what's funny? You try it when I compare this movie to another one that I thought was a pretty good description of like junior high school, The Stoned Age with Matthew McConaughey.
That's
Or is
not
that
the Stoned Age, honey. That's
Dazed and Confused?
Dazed and Confused.
Yeah.
Okay, Dazed and
Yeah.
Confused.
Yeah.
Check out The Stoned Age. That's great. But Dazed and Confused. They did it pretty good, but it
Yes.
wasn't this good. But it wasn't this good.
No.
That's why
nothing's
this is a
this
5.
good. Yeah.
Because
No,
Dazed and Confused is
Dazed and Confused is a little Hollywood, a little polished.
a
Mhm.
little polished and a little, it gets a little unrealistic in spots. But that movie is a high 4s for me. It's fucking great. Again, we get a great soundtrack, great cast, just all good. But that
Yeah.
just shows you how great this movie is. Delynn, what do you got?
All right. So, by today's standards, this movie is a little cringy in places, but it's super realistic. Like that was a lot of what was happening. There was a couple of scenes that I probably would have cut. There's some things that get a little long in the tooth here and there, but for the most part, it's a ton of fun. And if you want to know what it was like growing up in the 80s, that's it. Go watch it. I'm going to give it a 4.1.
4.1. So, Delynn, will you please calculate those scores and tell us where it falls on
Yes.
the Hey, did you ever see that movie chart?
It is a 4.63333, which puts it at. It is tied at 7th with Sinister.
This is way better than Sinister. This is way
It's
better.
a
Sinister's
different
good.
movie.
Listen,
It's a different movie.
of course, no shit, it's a different movie. If it wasn't, Sinister would be Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
You understand what I'm saying.
What was your score, Delynn? I'm sorry.
A 4.1.
Okay.
So it's tied in 7th with Sinister. And what's ahead of it?
Daddy's Home is at 6. And at number 8 is First Blood, The Wedding Singer, and Central Intelligence.
Yeah, Daddy's Home is better than this. If I had to watch one, I would watch Daddy's Home.
Really?
I just think I think Fast Times is a better movie, obviously. But if I'm watching a comedy to just sit and fucking laugh out loud, Daddy's Home makes me laugh more than any comedy I've ever seen. I just find it. I find it to just. Do you ever watch it?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
I just find it to be so fucking funny. I just laugh out loud through the whole fucking thing. Makes me feel
It's
good.
stupid as hell, but it's very funny.
All right, so we are going to be back next week reviewing a movie that I'm not sure. I've seen it recently, and I brought it up, and me and Tony were like, oh yeah, we started like kind of reminiscing on it. And then I watched a little bit with Delynn, and I'm like, I'm not sure. So we're going to be back doing James Wood in Videodrome. Woo!
It's going to be a tough one. I tell you what, we watched maybe the first 10 minutes of it, and I saw no less than like 8 boobies in 10 minutes. I was like, that's a lot of boobies for the first 10 minutes of a movie.
Porn. But torture porn movies.
And it was torture porn. I'm like,
And
what are we watching?
And it's like this bizarre, like
nothing can be worse than Hostel, though, as far as torture porn goes.
Yeah, I think one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen would be 8mm with Nick Cage.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, that one's a hard watch, man.
That
That's
I
just
feel I have to take a shower after I watch that movie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
awful.
I can never watch it again. Joaquin Phoenix is so good. Dino De Laurentiis. It's the whole thing is like if you dig that shit, really good.
It's a
Machine,
fantastic movie, but
yeah.
it's hard
It's
to
hard.
watch.
Hard watch.
It's dark, it's scary, it's brutal, it's dirty. Yeah, I give that 5 showers.
I don't know if there's
Okay.
going to be enough showers in the world after watching Videodrome. The only thing that's going to keep me interested is Debbie Harry, but
Yeah,
don't
we'll
know.
see. But it is funny. It becomes fantasy, science fiction, and it kind of it takes like a turn halfway through the movie.
I
So
hope
we'll see.
so, because I did not enjoy the first 10 minutes.
Okay, this was a very strange podcast, but if you're listening to this podcast, it should not be surprising to you. You never know what you're going to get. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Next
I wish
week-
we could have
Next time
Tony
we
come
have
in
to
and
all
do
wear
that.
our shirts.
Yes, we'll
I
all wear
wanted
our
to wear my
shirts.
shirt, but I fucking wore it to bed last night and it was dirty. I mean, it was really dirty. I wish we could have had Tony come in and do life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
I-
That was
You're-
terrible.
Your Tony does a good Tom Hanks.
Yes,
My
he does.
Tony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, he comes at like one of our things is like whenever one of us is being an ass, and then we like apologize, he'll go, "I'm sorry, I ruined your Black Panther party."
That's so funny. Oh shit. All right. So that'll do it, folks. Join us next week for Videodrome, and then we'll be back with Pat the following week where we will be doing one of my favorite movies of all time. It's long overdue on this podcast. Fletch. Yes. Fletch F. Fletch. So you'll have to stop by for a Bloody Mary, a steak sandwich, and a steak sandwich. Until next time, I just have one question for you. Hey, did you ever see that movie? See you later.
Bye.